Dude, I've been trying to write the script for this video for the past few months, but I realized it's probably best if I just speak from my heart and let the passion carry it through because in a sense, it changed my life. So if you're somebody that feels like you're stuck in a loop, you've been reading a bunch of self-help books, nothing has been changing, I'm gonna make a strong case that self-help books are a waste of your time. You know what? Not a strong case. I'm just gonna let you figure that out on your own because think about this. When you read the self-help book, a lot of times you agree, oh yeah, deep down you already knew all this stuff. And if you didn't, throughout your life, throughout your experience, through living, you're gonna come across it and you're gonna figure it out. The only thing that's probably useful in that is statistical information or scientific crap that you can always look up on your own. If you're somebody who also have been feeling a bit lonely and struggling finding the one and kind of being frustrated, oh, I meet this person, she's cool, he's cool, whatever, but things don't work out very well. They're too selfish. They're talking to 20 other people. Why is that couple, like, why is that ugly guy has a hot girl? To give you a little bit of a secret, a lot of it is luck based. So I don't want to sound like a black pill person, but if you think about it, being born in the right place, in the right time, right genetics, right looks, coming from a family, not going through an accident, meeting that person when they're not on a period, you get my point. But this specific topic that I want to talk about is reading fiction, especially if you're a man. I know I was looking at a statistic that men have been reading less and less novels lately, which is a shame. So when you introspect, when you think, when you're laying down by yourself, if you take the time to actually chill with yourself, two ways your brain operates. One is you're laying down and a lot of your thoughts are being narrated. And it's a mess, it's annoying, it could instill sort of emotions, it can make you frustrated, angry, happy, horny, whatever. Or an idea pops up in a form of a very quick flash of an image or a geometry or a color, and then it instills sort of a feeling. But essentially, when you're planning things out in your head, you're narrating your own thing. I think this is where fiction can come in handy. When you read fiction, first of all, you're working out your imaginary muscles. I do strongly believe that you've heard the whole idea of like book is better than the movie. And it is because no matter how beautiful choreography on a screen and the script and acting is, at the end of the day, nothing is better than your own imagination. And I truly believe that. And you can say, I'm not a creative person. No, you're still a person and you have a brain. And this living organism machine thing is a lot more powerful than I think we understand. This has been a new cool thing that I have been discovering by reading fiction. Every time I think of a book that I've read, I actually have a very vivid image of a certain scene that made me feel a certain way. Also, when you have a physical copy and you're touching it, you're using most of your senses. First of all, you're using the touch, you're using the smell, you're smelling the book, even though you're not realizing it. You're reading it. You're also reading it sometimes out loud or you're narrating, so you, as well as you're listening. So most of your senses are there, maybe except for the tongue. But when you lick your finger to turn the page, you can argue that you also use it, the sense of taste. So in a sense, you're using all your senses. And I think that's where the knowledge sticks the best for the past couple of thousand years. This is how we were able to evolve and pass down the information. We put that shit on a rock, we put it on papyruses, and now we put it on paper. That's how we were evolved. This whole thing of going to class, looking at a PowerPoint, listening to some old dude talk, I think it's a new way of learning. And I think it was designed to it's so cringe, but enslave our minds because the school system had to be created because we had to sit still in front of a computer to get shit done for society to function. Although I would argue it is not natural. And this is a separate topic for a different time. The second thing that I'm learning is how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you are able to take your thoughts and put it in a verbal format is probably one of the best skills that you can utilize today, especially someone who has graduated college and has been working and seeing how people get promoted a lot of times is really what you say. People have no other way of judging you, and that's very unfortunate. So when you read fiction opposed to self-help, there is a way that the author describe certain things metaphorically and certain words stick with you and you're able to utilize them. You can take those words, put them in your vocab arsenal, and then use that, load up your bandolier, and then take your mouth being the weapon and fire those bullets. And then all of a sudden things stick, and people, wow, I've never thought of it that way. And that could go a long way. We know that connections play a big role. So being able to meet somebody and talk to them about pretty much anything is an amazing skill. And I do believe that fiction allows you to do that. At the end of the day, we're all seeking some sort of purpose, and that person could be anything depending on who you are. But a lot of it stems from emotion. empathy. And when you're following a certain character, when a fiction book is written so well, you are basically almost experiencing that character's journey. You're able to empathize it and you're able to tune your emotion and practice it without actually going out there and putting yourself out. Now, you could say, well, you can do the same thing with the movie. Again, with the movie, you're basically, when you're watching a movie, your brain, if you scan it from the top, is in this dreamlike state. And not a lot of the information is retained, not as much as when your attention is fully focused on the words. When you're actually envisioning those words, those ideas, the images that come to your head are your own. Even though author crafted, he had a certain image of it when he was writing a scene, you can take that and interpret it your own way. That's where the problem lies today. A lot of us are, it seems as though we're these empty shells that walk around and just regurgitating the ideas that have been said before us many, many times. So we don't really have time to explore who we are. And there's all kinds of bullshit exercises. You can go to a therapist and you can do this and that and that. I do believe in the basics. And I think the basics that have been stuck with us for thousands of years is reading. When you can read and you can interpret things, you can visualize them, you can feel a certain way inadvertently. I don't know if I use that word properly. In the background, you're also training and figuring out your own ideas. And let me tell you, reading a book is not that easy nowadays, especially if you are somebody that is getting off the whole social media, the YouTube. You have so much crap thrown at you that your dopamine receptors are probably completely fried. It's really difficult for your brain to focus on something as mundane, as basic as reading. But I promise you, if you can stick with it and you can get used to it, it will elevate who you are as a person. I promise you. What are the two most popular books in the world throughout history? What, Bible and, I don't know, Quran maybe? What are they? I'm not gonna say they're fictionally written stories because I don't want to offend people. I have my own opinions about it. But essentially it is stories written with lesson. And that's what fiction books are. A lot of the things that you learn, you just simply cannot, if I tell you it, exactly what it is, you will agree with it, but it will not stick with you unless A, you experience it, or B, you read it, you empathize, you try to understand the journey of the character. I think it will stick with you better. And I do believe that's how we were designed to learn. We're designed through storytelling. This has been with us since beginning of times. We were always trying to look at the sky, looking at the cave, looking at the tree, at the shapes, and we were always trying to make some sort of connection. That's why you have certain parts of your brain, serotonin and other chemicals, that are designed for pattern recognitions, for storytelling, for some sort of make sense thing in your brain. I'm not going to claim to be a scientist. This is my understanding, and I'm sure some of you can agree on that from personal experience. So if you have some time, try it out, try to read, but also try to read something you genuinely enjoy, no matter how weird it is. I started out with science fiction. That's what stuck with me. You might be more into fantasy. You might be a weirdo that likes a bunch of orcs abusing other innocent people, if you know what I'm saying. Read that. Read what you like, read what you enjoy. But if you can find an author that can describe it well, and if you can train your imaginary muscles, and as you're learning new words, new ways of explaining things, new ways of metaphorizing life and viewing things from a completely different perspective, I think it's going to change your life.